Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the first virtual tour of the Moti-Vitality installer training facility. Um, I really appreciate those of you that are here hopping on, and we got a couple new names and faces here, and I really appreciate those of you that are here curious. We also have with us some managers and previous students, and we're gonna start off here in just a second doing an actual tour, and then I want to give a chance for any of you to ask questions or for previous students or managers to speak a little bit. The purpose of this virtual tour is to sort of introduce this facility um, to people out there in the industry, people that may have seen it, that are curious, give you a chance to ask the questions that you want to ask, not only to the instructors, to me, to Paul, who is one of the instructors, but also to students or managers that have come before. Um, I can tell you that so this month, January, is 2 years. I can't believe that, Paul, that it's been 2 years already. But it's been 2 years since we officially launched the installer training facility. And when we built it, uh, we built it because there was nothing else out there like it, as you'll see when we kind of do the tour. And it's something that I feel the industry has desperately needed for a really super long time. Um, and so we built it to provide a place for installers, new or experienced, to come. And if they're new, I mean, how many times, Paul, have we watched people cut into a live plumbing line for the very first time at this facility? And I mean, we've seen people stand back nervous. The first time, if you those of you that have installed, if you've ever, if you can think back to the first time you ever cut into a live plumbing line, how nerve-wracking and sometimes terrifying that can be. So we've seen that done multiple times here, where the very first time somebody's ever done plumbing or done an install has been here at our facility, and they leave with much more confidence than they had coming in. We've also had lots and lots of people that have come here that have years of experience, and this facility has allowed them to install using a tool or methods that they wouldn't normally have done. So maybe they've done 200 installs using PEX, but they've never sweat copper. They've never done an install sweating copper. And the first time they do that, they don't want to have to do that for the very first time in a customer's home. This is a great place to do that. We've had people come here and want to practice installing with the ProPress tool, to determine whether or not it made sense for them to invest in one, for their own companies. So this facility offers tons of opportunity to do that. I originally built the facility because I was training an installer with a client that I was working with, and it's very difficult to take the time. He was riding with me, he was spending time with me, but because he was slow and we were so far behind on installs, I didn't have time to let him do the complete install. And the first one that I ever sent him out on his own, he did a great job on the installation, except that he installed the carbon filter backwards and ended up costing us a $38,000 insurance claim because of the damage done to all the fixtures and fittings and appliances after blowing carbon throughout the home. So the idea here was to create a safe place where installers could make those mistakes and learn from them, and practice what they need to practice. So that is what this facility is. I want to show it to you guys, and let's start there because I'm describing it and what it is. And so at first, the first thing I thought we would do is to show you what we built. So we have Lanya. I'm actually working with the client down in Dallas, Texas right now. This facility is in Holland, Michigan. Um, and Lanya is there. She is our warehouse manager. And Lanya is going to share her screen, and we're going to walk you through the facility. So we built this on the second floor of our warehouse. And as we go up the stairs, what you'll see here, I want you to take notice of all the sponsors. So you'll notice, you see the John Guest right when you go up. There's a poster there, and there's Hydronics. Uh, we did not build this facility unilaterally. Um, it has been done with the support of lots of different manufacturers and suppliers and OEMs from across the country. It's been a little unbelievable to me, in fact, the number of people that have supported this effort. And but RWC or John Guest, they're one of the big ones. Hydronics is really big. Nelson is very big, has been very big. Pro Products has been very big. So I wanted to definitely acknowledge those as Lanya is panning her camera across and you see those banners. Those are definitely people that have supported the program. So the first thing that I want to show you here is you'll notice these bays. And Lanya, if you could point over to bay one and kind of pans across. We name each of them bay one through five. There are five training bays. This bay number one here that you're looking at is and that's actually a crawl space. And we've equipped that crawl space even with spider webs and there's even a little pet rat down there that we put down. We've also got a sump pump, so there are lots of different things that we can teach people. But they're doing a crawl, and when you go down in this crawl space, you see a nice hodgepodge of DIY homeowner special plumbing down there. So there's a nice mix of red and blue PEX that does not always correspond with hot and cold water lines. And so it this challenges an installer to have to be able to do an appropriate plumbing assessment. We've got an outside line on this one that they have to bypass. See here, so this outside line. So underneath in the crawl, they have to bypass that outside line. We can teach them backfeeding and proper drain connection. You notice the fire extinguisher there. That's because we do teach them how to solder pipe, how to sweat pipe, and so that is there. You'll notice, and in between each one of these bays, they've got these carts. These carts correspond with each training bay, and we call these their trucks. And so we stock each truck with tools that they would need. So these are tools that would probably be on a van, a regular toolkit, drill bits, just fittings, those sorts of things. We also have a test kit for them because we teach them how to test water. And then on the front of these trucks is a clipboard that corresponds with each training bay. And so we teach them how to do proper plumbing assessments, and we teach them how to uh, uh, look at those plumbing assessments and know how to do the jobs. In bay number two here, this is in a finished, it's a room that's in a finished basement. They have to access an access panel. We teach them, it's not only the install, but we teach them proper etiquette. They lay down runners, wear booties, or, they have to be aware of walking through the carpet, of laying tools directly on top of the washer and dryer so as not to scratch them up. Lanya loves to play homeowner, and she'll come over and say something to them about wearing shoes through or not taking them off or dragging stuff across the carpet. So that's this one poses some challenges. Bay number two. You move over to bay number three. This is one of the most fun bays. This is the one when we have that guy who feels like he's got the experience and a lot of stuff. We put him in this bay because and I'm not going to go into it here in case some of you ever come to visit, but this is the bay that allows us to really challenge them. We can do some pretty extensive installations in this one. We'll usually have them do a softener, UV, a reverse osmosis system. We can have them put lots of different things in here. You see, we still have the drain, the standpipe. I haven't cut that out from the last class. I'm realizing that I have to reset that. But where that standpipe is there, that's what a student actually built that standpipe and created that drain. Normally, that is just a horizontal 4-inch drain line, and if they're going to build a drain, they have to cut into that and build that standpipe in order to create the drain. I will sometimes, you see the standpipe on the right hand corner there. Occasionally, I have the ability to clog that standpipe. So sometimes if it's a newer student, they don't have a lot of experience, we'll let them drain to that standpipe. But if it's somebody that it really needs to practice on the drains a lot, then we'll take that standpipe out as an option, and we'll clog that standpipe and force them to have to figure out where else to drain and how to build a proper drain on it. Um, Nice thing about all of these bays is we can replumb them. You'll see that most of them are done in PEX right now, but we can replumb any of them within 15 minutes to a different type of tubing. So whether it's PVC or copper or PEX, or whatever plumbing somebody needs to practice on, we can replumb these bays and allow them to practice on whatever plumbing type they have. This is our well water bay. So we have an atmospheric storage tank downstairs. We put a well pump in so we can actually teach them installation in tight space. Uh, there are different drain options here as well, but we teach them about cut in and cut out uh, levels on the pressure tank, and the issues that they have here. This also allows us the ability to create problem water if necessary. So we can add water into the line and create problem water if we need to in a certain situation. And then bay number 5 uh, is our this is our kitchen. We do reverse osmosis installations in here. This is also where we spend when we have our sales classes. We spend a lot of time in this bay practicing water analysis, the demonstration test. We go through a lot of this. Particularly, we spend a lot of time in this bay on the sales class that we do. Additionally, in the other bays as well, because we're teaching salespeople how to do proper plumbing assessments and how to best prepare the installers for their jobs to save those callbacks and the extra time the installers take on installation. Anya, if you want to go back behind the scenes real quick, we do have our emergency shut off right there where we let everybody. There have been multiple times where guys have cut into a live line, and that allows us to get the water shut off quickly if we need to. We shut that off. Students are not allowed back here. We do give them a quick little tour, but this is behind the scenes. I want to show you a couple little things. You see the gutter system that runs down along the line. You'll notice in the back, you may not be able to see it totally on the screen here, but Lanya, maybe you can put your fingers back underneath there. See the gap there going into the gutter. Each one of these bays are shimmed slightly in the front so that they slant towards the back. So if there is a big leak, then there's a gap in the back, the water runs into this gutter and allows us to prevent us from flooding downstairs and long enough to get the water turned off. So just some of the stuff that we did behind the scenes here. You can walk on through, Lanya. We'll um, so this is um, some of you may or may not know that I actually went to school to become a high school theater teacher, and I in theater originally I can't sing or dance, so I just got stuck doing set design. Never in a million years thought I would use it, but this is what I did. I used it. So this is where we spend a lot of our time. This is our tube connection table. On the first day, in addition to drain connections, we teach them. We've got a granite drill station here. So if you look here, we teach them how to drill through stone countertops, and which is something that's very intimidating for a lot of people at times. But then we teach them how to connect every type of tubing there is in every type of tubing connection. So we use PEX, we do expansion PEX, we do crimp fittings, we do copper rings, we teach them to glue PVC and build a trap. We teach them how about threaded fittings and OD and ID and the different types of copper, transition fittings like shark bite or Prolock, and we do and then we teach them how to cut and deburr and clean copper, and then we teach them how to sweat copper, how to solder. Lanya, do you have one of the loops there? So at the end of day one, everybody builds one of these, and we pressure test it over there where those hoses are. We put a line on it, and we pressure test it. I mean, soldering pipe's a kind of a dying art. A lot of people don't know how to do that. We've had, I'd say, probably 75% of the people at least that have come through our facility have never soldered copper before, and it's their first experience. It's really quite rewarding for them to put water through it and pressure test it. You'll see over there too on the wall over there, we take their picture. I still have probably 8 or 10 that I have to hang up there over the stairs, but these are previous students and classes that we've had. Um, you'll notice all the different types of softeners. We in filters here, we have there's we try as much as possible to install the type of equipment that um, that that the customers or that the installers do at home. Although there are occasions where we will introduce them to a new type. I don't share proprietary information, right? So if somebody comes from one brand, they're not going to install. If they're, I'm not going to teach them how to go into a competitor's brand. That's not what we do, but we can we do have access to those valves so that people are able to install the equipment that they put in on a daily basis. Um, that's the tour. That's the facility. That's where we spend our time. There's a lot more. I mean, there's kitchen, there's warehouse, but that's where we do the bulk of the training. Um, with that, thank you, Lanya. Um, I I wanted to uh, introduce you guys to Paul Friot, who is uh, one of the other, actually has been our other instructor since we started this 2 years ago. So I don't know if any of you know Paul. Paul's a master water specialist, certified installer, certified service technician, and a certified water representative. Owned a dealership in Massachusetts for many, many years. I won't go into details on this class, how Paul and I got connected. It's kind of but basically it was through the Water Quality Association and the Professional Certification Committee that we were both involved in. I was fortunate enough to to find Paul just at the right time, and Paul's been with us through the bulk of every class that we've had. So, Paul, do you want to just kind of introduce yourself, keeping in mind that this is an information class for people that are curious about the installer facility, and anything you want to add about it?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. It's great to be here, and a Happy New Year to everybody, too. So, yeah, as Kelly said, my background is my father and I ran an independent water treatment dealership for about 45 years in central Massachusetts, dealing primarily with private wells and dealing with lots of problems, different issues, corrosive water, iron, arsenic, radon. And we dealt with multiple suppliers. We were not a franchise. So we dealt with clack and flack and Autotrol, and so it helped to give us some level of familiarity with multiple OEMs and reverse osmosis systems. We also had a service exchange tank business, water softener service exchange tank business. So when we sold the business and my wife and I moved to Florida, because I ran into Kelly, like Kelly says, the timing was really ideal. I became involved with this project, and it's really been a pleasure and very informative. It helped me to learn, but hopefully I think it's helped the students that have come through. As Kelly said, we had one student at least who it was literally his very first day in the water treatment industry was his first day at the training facility. And a super guy came from, I think, a restaurant industry. And then on the other hand, I don't know what the ultimate longest is. I mean, certainly we've had multiple people with 3 or 4 years of experience, but
16 years, I think,
is
is
that what it is?
yeah, we've had somebody here that had 16 years. Well, we had a plumber that had 35 years worth of experience that came up as well. So, um, yeah.
And I think most students would echo the feeling that I have as far as when I attend educational sessions that the Water Quality Association puts on. There's always something I learn. It isn't as though, well, you have X number of years of experience and now I'm all set. And I think we've seen that with students. I think every student would say that they benefited significantly from coming here. And in some of the folks that have quite a bit of experience, in some cases, it's unlearning things that they were taught many years ago and have been doing, for lack of a better way of expressing it, incorrectly for many years because the person that trained them didn't know. And so it perpetuates these things. And one of our goals is to get information straight from the horse's mouth. And sometimes we will call directly to a manufacturer during a class and clarify some point where somebody say, "Oh, no, that's not how you do it." And Kelly will frequently get on the phone if that's the case and contact someone and say, "Hey, is this?" And you'll get a feedback. So
Yeah. Um, Real quick, I just wanted to, Austin, I know that you're on the road. Austin he's on here by phone only. Um, and Austin is one of those students who came in without a lot of information, um, without a lot of experience. Austin's actually on his way out to do an install now, but I wanted you to hear just briefly, and I know that he has to go because he's doing a big install today. But Austin, talk a little bit about your experience when you came and what it did for you, if you could, as from an installer's perspective.
Yeah, so I had about a year of experience in Northwest Ohio, and I thought I was doing pretty good, and I thought I had it all down, and so I got sent to Moti-Vitality. Met Kelly and Paul, which are both great guys, great people and great teachers. And first day of training, we got there, and I was pretty confident in myself, to be honest with you guys. But so we started, and I was like, oh, this is a whole nother world. Their training facilities are great. It's pretty much exactly like if you're in a customer's house, and the way that they train us or train you guys to, checking equipment, checking parts and stuff like that. It's just like, going out to your truck and, doing inventory in the morning, or if you do it at the end of the day. So really, I mean, the training, it's aimed towards, doing it in the people's houses. But really, I mean, it's kind of, you start your day off at the shop and you end your day at the shop. And, to get back on to the experience thing, there was a lot of stuff that I thought I knew that I really didn't know. And I came in there super confident. And the first day or two, I was like, wow, this is a little bit more than I expected. So, and then by the time I left, I was really, really confident. And, I had a great time there. Learned a lot of, tips and tricks, met some great people that I'm still in contact with. And, I just can't tell, Paul and Kelly how much, it means to me that I was even able to go there. It's just such a great facility and great teaching.
And Austin, you
not
earned
only,
your WQA certified installer eligibility here, right?
yes, I did. So I did Kelly's online training, and then I went to the facility there, and then shortly after that, I did my installer test for WQA, and I passed it no problem at all. I mean, it was way easier after that. I did a
So,
couple practice tests before I even went there, and I definitely did not do as good on the practice test, and so
so that one of the things that we offer in our premium course, and we will before we're done here talk about the classes that we offer, but the Austin was part of our premium class, which offers WQA certified installer eligibility. You still got to pass the test, but it meets all the criteria necessary for you to be allowed to take the test, as long as you have 6 months in the industry or related industries. But Austin, thank you very much. Please stick around if you'd like, but I appreciate that a lot. I also want to introduce you to Dan. Dan, I don't know if I prepared you for this, but Dan was a different type of student. Dan actually came to us by himself. He was the only person we had that week here, and so Dan works for a company called FlavorX that um, he was very familiar with reverse osmosis systems. They actually add the flavor uh, to medicine at pharmacies, and so they put reverse osmosis systems in. And Dan was looking at he wanted to expand his knowledge uh, into other areas in the industry, water softeners and filtration. And Dan was moving towards his master water specialist certification, and wanted to kind of know a little bit more about that. So we created a custom class specifically for Dan, a couple days, just to really focus on that. Dan, do you have any thoughts on that custom class, or
Yeah,
what your experience was?
it worked out great. Like you say, we were studying in a study group for the Master Water Specialist test, and it was a little overwhelming just hearing all the terms and not being able to physically get your hands on there. So to get in there and tear apart a valve, fill up a softener with some resin, get it started up, it really helped just grasp all the terms and how things worked. And like I said, we work in retail pharmacies with RO systems for years and years. So I was pretty good with that. I just needed some help working on the softener portion of it. So ended up working out great. A pretty intense week. And Kelly, you were a little bit under the weather, so I appreciate you coming out every day and keeping it going, making me get through that week. So it worked out.
Are you in your office, Dan?
I am, yeah.
Can you move your camera? Show them what you did with your loop. I love what you. So people, when they take their loops home, they get to take them home for a. So Dan actually turned his copper loop into this little basketball hoop over his trash can, which I love. So everybody gets to take their loops home for just as a souvenir, and I thought that was one of the most unique things that I saw people do with it. That was pretty cool. So, and then Paul, do you mind if I put you on the spot for a second? So Paul Sanfransky is the manager of a Culligan dealership in Traverse City, Michigan, in that area. And while Paul himself has not actually been to our facility, he has sent several of his installers. From a manager standpoint, Paul, why have you sent us multiple people, and what's been the experience? What has been their feedback and your experience?
I believe that the program, thanks for having me on, and Happy New Year as well. The program builds confidence in the people that you have on your team, and that's extremely important when we're in homes, multi-million-dollar homes, with the gentleman walking into a basement or wherever they're walking into, and being able to show confidence in their abilities and what our expectations are. We have 5 locations across northern Michigan, so we are planning on sending more people through this program because when the guys do come back from the program, they have nothing but great things to say about it. It's a pretty amazing program. They're learning a lot. They're understanding the water treatment system better. We should be better at getting them a little bit better training prior to going. But the hands-on, it's amazing for these guys in regards to seeing many different types of piping applications, crawl spaces, reverse osmosis. They've been trained to drill granite. We still don't do it. We subcontract that out because we don't want to crack. We're just a little skeptical on that, and that just creates nothing but an issue for us on the back end if we were to do something wrong with that. But in other instances, we're drilling through all the other types of countertops that are out there. A couple, I believe, have gone through the WQA. They have not become certified as of yet, but they are working on the program. They have a little bit of time to get through that program. Others have gone through the abbreviated program, which is just extremely helpful. You get an assessment at the end of this as well, which is so helpful in regards to not just the capability, but the personality that the person brought to the school. And then that opens up our eyes in regards to maybe that person wasn't a good fit for our company, and we may decide to move in a different direction. And at times that's a good idea, I will say. We've been very, very happy. I don't know if you have questions you want to ask me in particular about anything, Kelly, but we've been super happy about everything that our guys have learned going through this program.
So I'm glad you mentioned the assessment, because that is something that we began doing when we first did the class. And it's been interesting that we've had several companies that have sent us people so that we could sort of evaluate. There was one particular dealership that there's only been twice with all the students that we've had that we've recommended that they seek alternative employment opportunities. I mean, there have been literally 2 people out of all of them. And I just, it's one guy, I think, really wanted to, he just did not understand the concepts. The other guy he called in sick, and the company had sent him here, and the guy showed up 2 of the days. So stayed in the hotel room, and that was but what we found, the feedback that we get from the managers, because I do a pretty thorough assessment of Paul, Michelle, Lanya, and I sit down and have a conversation. And what do we, if we were the owners and managers of this company, what would we want to know, both in skill and in personality, about this person? In many cases, we're able to see them. And Paul, I know that you know this. When you hire an installer, you're not, all you're ever hearing from them. Maybe occasionally is something from from a customer who says something, and if you hear something about your installer, it's usually not a good thing. And then you wonder how many other customers did that happen to that you didn't hear from. And so we are able to see what the way we had one guy come, and and he was had tobacco. He had chewing tobacco, and he had a spit cup on top of the water heater. And the whole time he's doing the installation, he's spitting tobacco in this cup and sitting it on the water heater. And I don't think that, if you're an owner or manager, you're not out there riding with the guy, and the customers never say anything about it. How do you ever know? How long does that happen before you know that that's what your installer is doing in the basement? And so and to this guy's credit, it was his culture, is where he's from. It never occurred to him that that was not appropriate. So it's, we were able to teach this guy. He ended up, at the end of the week, ended up being one of our favorite installers. He was just a super guy, and I think he was very grateful that somebody pointed that out to him. So it's not like it's this evaluation or this assessment where we're critiquing somebody in this negative way. That's not the idea. The idea is that for them to come out of this with growth, and to give the owners and managers the tools they need to be able to to move them forward in their companies. So yeah, thank you for that, Paul.
Kelly, could I interject for a minute?
Please.
So to pick up on that point you were just making regarding some of the issues that come up from time to time with students, we try as best we can to never put a student down. When we are talking with them about whether it's a technical issue or something to do with their professionalism, their behavior, we try to do it in an upbeat manner and never make them feel embarrassed or anything else. That's one thing I wanted to mention. The other is, what I've said from time to time is, fundamentally, this training facility is to provide the real world in a safe environment for students. So,
Jen, you just unmuted. You have something to add?
I did. Yeah. So, I just wanted to add, I was a part of this at the beginning, and I was a
You came
distant
through our
part of
very
it.
first class.
I came to the very first class, and it was one of those that I purposely kind of stood aside because I was going through the certified installer course, and I wanted to see what it looked like in the end. And when I walked up, it was not anything that I expected. And I've seen other training facilities that literally it's just water softeners up against a wall. That's it. And so they're installing on installing. They're not in a real world setting. They're not in a home. And I think that that's really what makes this so unique, because I haven't, in all my travels around the country, I've not seen anything like it. And, everyone says this is what the industry needed. So, highly recommend it. I do.
It's one of the things Austin said, and we've heard other students say that as well, that when you're looking at them from outside, oh, they look like a training bay, but when you're in that bay, it feels like you're in a home. You forget that you're in the top floor of a warehouse, because
Right.
I don't know if you saw as we went through, we've even got, the pictures, and they're decorated. They're there to make it feel and look as if it's a real home. So thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. So let me share with everybody just real quick the different classes. So as we mentioned with Dan, we're able to customize classes for each. If there's a company out there or an individual, then we can certainly customize a class for you. And that would be something that to reach out with us and let us know. what they are. But we do offer um, three basic courses that we schedule pretty regularly. The first, as we mentioned, and the most common, is the premium course. And this one includes the WQA certification eligibility. Okay, so we have WQA has allowed Paul and I to instruct. Paul's one of the instructors for this class through WQA as well. Um, but this course is 4 weeks, 3 weeks of virtual. That's usually Monday and Friday from 9 to 1. We'll do that. That's Eastern time. So 4 hours, 2 days a week, Mondays and Fridays, 4 hours, 2 days a week, and that takes place for 3 weeks. That is the WQA Certified Installer course, and so that meets the eligibility for the virtual part of the WQA installer. The thing that I like better about going through it with us versus WQA, and both are fine options, okay, but when you take the course through WQA, it's an hour a week for nearly 6 months. And you're often on a Zoom meeting with 20 or 30 or 50 students. And so there's an opportunity at the end of that to ask questions towards the end, but it's an hour a week. What's nice about going through our course is, first off, it's expedited. It's 3 weeks instead of the 5-6 months that you go through with WQA. So it's expedited. But secondly, is we limit our class size to 5 people. So we max our classes out at 5 people, which means that you don't have to mute yourself on the Zoom meeting. You can have discussions. You can delve deeper into a topic. If there's a topic that somebody is not understanding or grasping, then we can really spend a lot more time on that topic and go a lot deeper into it. You also have both Paul and I, who both of us are master water specialists. Both of us have a lot of experience, but we come to those experiences differently, and our teaching styles are slightly different. So if I'm struggling to, one of the ways that I'm teaching it, if I'm struggling to make the point or have a student understand, Paul can often step in and in his style of explanation. So we're able to, because we have different ways of teaching, we're able to really help the students grasp that understanding, and they can ask questions. They can talk about it, and we're not limited to an hour on water softeners. So we can, sometimes there's been times we've spent 2.5 hours on those topics because we've got the ability to adjust it a little bit more. Paul, you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, that pretty much nails it. This is sort of, to use the automotive comparison, WQA, as Kelly mentioned, I teach for the Water Quality Association, a number of courses for them with a couple of other instructors. That's sort of the Chevrolet. Very effective, does the job. This is the Cadillac. What Kelly and I are doing here enables us, as Kelly said, the student-teacher ratio is so different. With the Water Quality Association, at the end of every class, the instructors stay on and we answer questions. Here, you don't have to wait till the end of class, as Kelly said. Another point I want to mention is we try to keep it lighthearted. I mean, yes, this is not serious information per se, but we're trying to convey technical information and different topics and so forth. But at the same time, we inject a fair amount of humor into it so that hopefully students are enjoying the experience as well as becoming more informed. That's a couple of thoughts on it.
Yep. Thank you. So we have the premium class, and that premium class, once they've completed the 3 weeks of virtual, then they are on site at our facility in Michigan. Incidentally, we do supply them with lunch, and not just box lunches. I mean, we go all out. We have hot lunches. We supply them with lunch, and and really, because there are some long days too, and we have snacks, we have water, we have coffee. So those things are available to them all day. But once they are on site, they will complete a minimum of 4 to 5 units installed while they are here, and we can customize that based on their skill set. what their experience is. And we will work them, work their way through it. So, and then once they're done with that, we do provide the assessment once they leave to the owners or managers. Some cases it's been the owners or managers that have come, and we certainly will give them the feedback as well. So that's our most popular course. And so you can see that we're on motivitality.com on the information page here. Okay. The next course is a 3-day course. It includes 1 day of virtual. So we do about 8 hours of virtual training. So it's a long day on Zoom, but we go through the basics, we get to know each other, and then they are on site for 3 days. So they'll do usually 1 to 2 units installed during that time. That is for that student that wants an introduction to the industry, or maybe that doesn't have the time to travel. That one does not include the WQA certified installer eligibility. But it is a nice way for somebody that's had experience, they want to practice doing an install using ProPress or using a different install method, then that's the opportunity for them to come there. That's a 3-day course. We can also usually fill that in. That one's the easy one to customize. That's something similar to what Dan did when he came we were able to customize that course for him, create a 3-day course there. And then we have the sales training. And the sales training is very heavily designed to help prepare that salesperson. I mean, it's a lot of presentation stuff. We do that in a lot of bay number 5, but we also get that. So they're not doing any installs in the sales class, but we are teaching them how to do a proper plumbing assessment, how to recognize pipe type, how to recognize where to drain, what limitations are. Basically, this is designed to teach them how to communicate with the customer and not throw the customer or not throw the installer under the bus. It's heavily focused on being a sales professional. So we spend a lot of time in bay number 5 doing the presentation, doing sync demo, talking about what questions to ask, how to qualify. We talk about closing strategies, and so it's very much a sales focused class. But the training, doing it at the training facility, allows us to literally practice the plumbing assessments and to role play in a realistic scenario as we're going through and doing all of that stuff. So that is those are the primary classes we have. Does anybody have any questions? There's a couple of you on here that came on out of curiosity. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts?
Kelly, it's Michelle. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. If I could just add to everything that you and Paul and everyone else had said, these classes, one of the biggest things that everybody says is that it was fun. But what that really translates into is that they were engaged. There's so much information to know and learn. And the fact that one of the biggest comments is, I learned so much and it was fun. It means that they were engaged. They were absorbing the information. They also learn at lunch. Everybody stays for lunch and there's more conversation and, sometimes, personal fun things, and sometimes it's industry related, and they're all learning from each other. And the day is structured that it is long, but it is jam-packed with every minute learning, hands-on doing. It's all encompassing. We teach them how to make sure they're not wasting parts, how to prepare properly for their installs, how to talk to the customer. Sometimes we challenge them with a customer who might be, let's say, a little difficult, and they get to practice how they will respond and how to serve their clients better in our facility in a controlled environment rather than being in someone's house. Even when there are some things that might not go perfectly with their install, again, an excellent opportunity for them to understand how to fix it, how to explain something to the customer. And they've all left loving it and going back and, as Paul Zavransky said, communicating that back to their managers and owners.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. I wanted to, last thing I wanted to point out here is if you go to the website and you click on any one of these classes, it will take you directly to the page where you can register. It has the dates that we have the classes available and how many are there. And if you scroll all the way down and you look at the different classes, then you can you'll see a calendar here as well of when we have the classes and when they start. You can click on any one of these and it will take you directly to their to that page where, so that's the premium. Here's the should be able to click on these. It should, oh, that one takes you I believe if you go all the way down to the bottom here, it will tell you like here we have the standard, so you can click on that one and that will take you over to the standard class. And then, or you can go down to all the way down the bottom to the direct link and you can get the sales training as well. I hope to have everybody, join us for, we do have space available. And so as you saw, January is sold out, but we do have space available beginning on February for for all of the classes that we have available. So please let us know. If you have any information or any questions at all, please visit Moti-Vitality.com or reach out to us at info@motivitality.com. That's MOTI-VITALITY. Any final questions? Any final thoughts or comments or questions here?
Kelly, one other thought I want to mention. It's a minor one, but because of the way we structure things and because of your background and my background, it does enable us, if students have an interest in learning technical information outside of installing, we will sometimes get into fairly in-depth discussions about some of the technology and the science behind some of these products and systems, how a water softener functions, how resin really behaves, the process of a reverse osmosis system in a way that's much broader if they want, or deeper understanding than you would typically just if you were installing. So if students have an interest in that, we will spend time and go through that with them.
Excellent. Thank you, Paul. We hope to see you guys at the training facility. Paul, Dan, Austin, Lanya, Jen, Michelle, thank you. We will see you guys soon.